There we go.
There we go.
Hi, Michael.
How goes?
It's going okay. How are you doing?
Boy, that was sure a resounding vote of confidence.
This is my stop in the middle of the day to just sit down and chill. So I'm really looking forward to having this stop today.
It's been one of those days, has it?
Yep. One thing went 10 minutes over and then everything got bumped out afterwards. So
yeah,
that's why we're starting a little bit late, but at least we didn't get kicked out of the broadcast because of it. So I'll take it.
We just snuck in on time.
We totally did. There was warning signs going, warning, warning, you're going to get booted out. So
yeah,
we did good.
But we did it.
Yeah. How's your day been?
It's, which is hilarious that we're talking about, Tired Tuesday. It's fitting.
Yes.
Yeah. So I got up early this morning. I got my butt out of bed. I went for a walk at 6:30 in the morning as the sun was coming up. I'm hopeful that helps as I continue doing that.
That is amazing. I've been setting my alarm at 6:30 until 7:45. So I'm not even sleeping well during that little snooze period, but yeah, I'm not ready to face the world yet. And it's so nice and warm in here. So yeah. So how do we fix that, Michael, since you're their sleep guy?
A colleague of ours, you know her too, Amanda Nauer.
Mm-hmm.
Her and I had this conversation once before, and she made a really silly way that has given me a lot of motivation. It's when your alarm clock goes off and you're supposed to get up and work out, that's what you decide you're going to do the night before.
Yeah.
And you got that thought in your mind, I just want to roll back into my cozy little blanket for a little longer. It's that voice, that's Satan. And if you start calling it Satan, then you'll actually get a bit of a laugh out of it. You're okay, I'm going to get up now. And surprisingly, it works.
I have a feeling that is not going to work for me. I'll just be it's fine. Because I can, I'm the worst at getting up lately. Well, not even lately. Just when I was a dentist, I could get up at 5 and be yay, let's take over the world. And since I haven't been able to practice dentistry, I've been one of those people who will hit the snooze button over and over again. It totally changed everything. So
some of this is, I think we're meaning driven people, that when we have a reason to get up, we can find the energy and the motivation and the desire and the drive. Yeah. But when we don't have the reason to get up, you're you know what, I could sleep in for another hour and still make my meeting on time.
Mm-hmm. It
becomes a lot easier to slack it off.
It's true.
So for me, and this is a part of with our whole circadian rhythms and Tired Tuesday is how do we set up a rhythm of life that continues to support what it is that we want to do? And I don't know if there's a right answer or a wrong answer. Mm-hmm. It's more about figuring out what it is that you want, that each individual person wants. I don't think it's right to have to get out of bed at 6:30 in the morning and go for a walk in the morning, but it's what works for me. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's wrong to hit snooze for an hour and a half and wake up at 8 o'clock.
I think it's wrong. I feel very judgmental of myself about that.
So I think the first thing is when we're thinking about any kind of rhythm of what we're trying to accomplish is to recognize that we have to find a rhythm that works for us. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the starting point. And we'll go further into that as we go along. And I think the second thing is this whole idea of rhythms, to take away the misconceptions that exist there as well. Waiting. Am I back yet?
You're back.
There we go. So really, this is a lot about circadian rhythms, which is a really big fancy word. Okay, I grew up a geek. I'm a geek now. I grew up a geek. My dad is a dentist. A lot of people know who he is. Mm-hmm. And I remember as a kid, him starting to wade into sleep medicine a fair bit and talking about circadian rhythms as this built-in clock inside of all of us. And the reason why we're always feeling like we're getting tired is because the clock that's inside of us is actually a 25-hour clock, even though we live on a 24-hour day.
Interesting.
And whether that's true or not true, I don't know. But there's a lot of thought that somehow the circadian rhythm is about your internal clock. And with my own knowledge of sleep medicine and learning about sleep wellness, which is the flip side of treating the people with problems, is that the circadian rhythm really actually isn't a clock internally at all. Okay. I prefer instead to think of your circadian rhythm as your performance system.
Okay.
When we break down, and we'll go through the details, but when you break down, really your circadian rhythm is about trying to get your body aligned to your peak performance times. And whatever those peak performance times are going to be for you, your body is going to want to create a rhythm around, so that when you're awake, you're like, all right, baby, let's go. Let's chew off the world. Let's right now. And that's why that starting point is, what is the purpose you're trying to look for? Then begin to understand that you're trying to enhance your performance.
Okay. That actually makes that makes a whole lot of sense from when it shifted from being a good early morning person to being a good late night person.
Okay. So what's the performance that you find best at night?
Well, I had to train myself to be able to compete at peak, like go into a dance competition and be as awake as I would be at any other time of day, even if it was the equivalent of 1 o'clock in the morning in my time zone. So I started to like, when I was in practice, I was going to the gym early in the morning so that I was awake for patients for 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning when I would start seeing people.
Yeah.
And then when I switched to the year that I took off to just dance professionally and build the dance company, then I was competing. And so I was like training so that if I had to train at midnight, I could go full out, even if I had been up since 6 o'clock in the morning. So I started to train my system to be a bit different. And now I can't seem to untrain my system, because I'm like, if I could get up at 5 and go to the gym and start working on my company at 7 a.m., that would be amazing. But then when it comes to nighttime, I'm like, what I crave exercise is like at 11 o'clock at night, which is ridiculous.
So you have to design around your system of what you want now. Like, do you really want to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning now? Is that really what's important? Or do you still really like your productive hours late at night?
I would like to, the 7 o'clock thing would be ideal for me, because then I could actually like finish my work while there's still light outside and maybe enjoy part of the day instead of working until, I work all night, right? I work all day and then I work all night. So if I could actually get up earlier and reset that and get some work done before the rest of the world needs my attention, I think that would be helpful.
Okay, so then hopefully if that's what you really want to do, then I think out of this call, you're going to get some useful strategies that you could begin to shift that clock. Okay. The first thing is it's not going to happen all at once. It's going to take some time, because now you're resetting the alarm clock. And that shift sequentially goes through. So let's go through a little bit about all of our bodies, for the most part, are designed to work at their best during daylight hours. Right? So some animals are built to work well at night, nocturnal animals, and they get these big, huge, cute, buggy eyes like this. That's not us. We got smaller eyes. Our bodies work best at the higher temperatures so that we can have our metabolism optimized. That's when our bodies are built to function at their best, is during the daytime. So at nighttime, naturally, you need time to rest and recover. So when the sun goes down, that's a good time for you to sleep, which is also why it's better to sleep in a cooler room. Our body is built to have certain rhythms that support the way that we function at our best. Again, peak performance systems. So the one that gets a lot of headlines in the news stuff is all this talk around blue light, and what's this big deal about blue light? And it ties back into this whole talk too, is if you think about peak performance and our bodies work best under natural daylight conditions, when would you normally see blue light in the span of a 24-hour day? Is when the sun is up.
Right.
And especially where we live and many places in the world, is that the sky is clearest first thing in the morning. And there's a whole bunch of meteorological reasons why that's the case. Doesn't really matter for this conversation, except to say that the sky is usually at its bluest first thing in the morning. So when you see blue light, it's a cue for your brain to say, wake up, it's a time to get going, because peak performance is right around the corner.
Right.
And now the problem is that our screens that we have now, like, these suckers right here, the thing that you and I are looking into right all the time.
Yes.
We had this massive movement in technology about 15 years ago where we have these lifelike images because they're bringing the full spectrum of color. And then the movement to LED has been huge for us economically because it requires so much less energy to produce the image.
Right.
And it's also giving us these phenomenal full spectrum colors. Those colors, though, are the same ones that's like, hey, it's time for you to wake up and let's go.
Right.
The hormone that gets triggering your sleep cycle in the master hormone is called melatonin. Gosh. So when you're watching your screen or you're going outside and it's a bright blue day, melatonin is gone, but it also tells your body, hey, wake up. It's great. Like, we always feel at our happiest on those bright, blue, cheery spring days.
It's true. Yeah, which we're very lucky for in Alberta.
And I'm back.
Yep.
So when we recognize that most of how our body functions is the way that our body has adapted through evolution to say we're working at our best when it's bright and blue because that's when we're working at our optimum. Using that kind of framework as a starting point, we can begin to reverse engineer how we're going to create our own lives so they can support us, that we can be operating at our peak wherever we want. The first thing is, what kind of day do you actually want to live? Mm-hmm. Whether you're training at night so you can be ready for your dance performance, if you want to get first thing in the morning so you can work on your business, there's the meaning that you have to start with what you want to do. Then the second thing is begin to design the rest of the time's light cycles around it. So when you wake up, if you can get yourself some really bright full spectrum light first thing in the morning, it kickstarts the system. That's why I went out for a walk this morning, because I felt like Satan was saying, get back to bed this morning. So
thank you, Amanda. I'm never going to forget that.
I told you, it's brilliant, right?
Yeah. I still don't think it's enough motivation for me, but I do think it's funny.
So I got out of bed and I went for a fresh walk because I got the bright sunlight. I got fresh air in my lungs. I got high levels of oxygen. It got me going in the morning. The cold air also was this, oh yeah, I'm awake now. Mm-hmm. So that's the first part of it for me. The second thing is I use a circadian rhythm alarm clock.
Okay.
It's got this light that comes on really slowly with time that slowly wakes me up, simulating sunlight. Now, it's not so hard now because we actually have sunlight in the morning again. Mm-hmm. But when we were in the doldrums of winter and it's January and the sun doesn't come up almost until lunchtime, right. It makes a big difference to get out of bed. The next thing is being really mindful about when I go to bed and choosing a time that's going to go to bed that's going to give me the amount of sleep that I'm going to need so I can get up in the morning. Mm-hmm. Sleep research says you need about 7 hours of sleep minimum. As much as we like to think that we can short it off, and some people, I guess, suppose can, most of us need 7 hours. Many of us need more. So build it out backwards, reverse engineering. Okay, I want to get up at 5 a.m. That means I need to be in bed by 10. Mm-hmm. That's how you're going to get your 7 hours. Stay away from your screen for at least an hour before you go to bed, so you're not blocking that melatonin. If you're still having a hard time falling asleep, taking some melatonin pills. As you're trying to shift your rhythm back, do it about 15 minutes to 30-minute increments. Don't try to do it all at once. Otherwise, you're just going to be a complete bear when you wake up in the morning. And then you're not going to have the success that you want. You're going to be fatigued and exhausted all day. And then, yeah, nobody really wants to talk with you. Or at least me. They always love you, but me, I turn into a bear.
No, I turn into a bear. Only Sai has to put up with me, so it's okay. But it's okay. So with the gentle wake up thing in the morning, this is interesting to me because like gentle wake ups, I'm just like, I can ignore it forever. I need like a war siren to get me up. And then I'm like, oh, no, I can go back to bed. So even though I have that, I'm super talented at going back to sleep. So it's not necessarily a good thing, but so for people like that who are hard to wake up in the morning, like it wouldn't matter what time of day that I wake up, I still don't want to get out of bed.
Yeah.
So what do you do to shift that kind of thing?
Do both. So the reason why the lamp works and it's a slow, gentle wake up is because it's giving you the natural light that simulates the sunrise. So you're getting the feedback, and that's where most of the stuff is regulated, is through our eyes. If we're getting the light, then it's triggering all of the natural biology that sits inside of our bodies that would say, okay, it's time to wake up. Mm-hmm. Our cortisol level naturally is at its highest first thing in the morning. So if you're using that really nasty alarm clock after you started waking yourself up, it's like you're getting this extra hit of cortisol while you're at it still too. Yeah. You're like, okay, I'm awake already. And you can do both and you can pair them up. So you're kind of getting yourself primed to get smashed with your nasty alarm clock.
Yeah.
Another thing I do is I refuse to keep any electronics. My bedroom is an electronics free zone. There is some research that your Wi-Fi signal, your cell phone, this little thing, not just the screen, but all of the stuff that your antenna is emitting, that electromagnetic radiation also screws with the inside of your head and blocks melatonin too.
Okay.
This is where the whole thing of the yellow glasses that everybody wears at night comes into play. Have you seen those?
Everybody wears yellow glasses at night?
You haven't seen these yellow glasses that are
I've
over?
I've totally seen it.
Okay, you know the one. Okay, fine. I'm feeling like really foolish. I'm like, am I the only
I'm just
person
like,
who sees this?
everyone who wears yellow glasses, I'm like, I don't regularly see people with yellow glasses, but I totally know what you're talking about.
Okay. Call my hyperbole. Call me out on it.
Yeah, totally. Sorry, bud.
Oh, good.
Okay, so those yellow glasses. So let's talk about that, because actually, I thought my computer, my awesome MacBook, that's it's on. It's gigantic. I thought it was going to go kaput on me. So I was looking on things I could hook my MacBook Air to have a big screen, because I like working where it makes me sit up straight.
Yep.
And there was ones that were like, they were ones that were supposed to be like circadian rhythm ones. So they're blocking the light that could affect your rhythms and whatnot.
Yep.
Is this something that's going to be coming in all technology, do you think? Or is this something that is just like, it wasn't a lot more expensive actually to buy the special screen, but do you think that will actually make a difference?
A lot of technology is already there. It's optional. Mm-hmm. So if you're using your MacBook, in your settings of your MacBook, without having to buy a fancy screen, you can simply tell your MacBook to change all of your screens that are attached to having the filtering out the blue light. And then they give that yellow hue to it, which I think it looks kind of gross.
It does look gross.
It really does. But if it allows me to sleep at night, I'm like, okay, for the last hour and a half before I go to bed, I froze.
Mm-hmm.
My router came in the mail yesterday. I just gotta get it set up now.
Good. We are all looking forward to that.
Oh.
No, we're getting used to it, so it's okay.
You'll find something new to make fun of me, though, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure. That's just the nature of our interaction.
So yeah, it's all about, I can't even remember what your question was now. I'm getting lost.
About the lights.
Yeah.
And your computer screens.
So set the filters on your computer, set the filter on your phone, or get the silly looking yellow glasses and look like Bono all the time.
I could totally rock the yellow glasses.
It can become a new fashion statement.
Yeah. I've seen people who have had like the anti-blue light on their, like they've had a coating on their glasses. Yep. And when they're talking on a screen with me, if they go the wrong way, suddenly like you can't see their eyes at all anymore. So there's lots of things that they're putting out there to try and accommodate this theory. Yeah.
I've also used the theory in the reverse direction. Have you ever done like a really long haul road trip? And say you're going to drive to Vancouver, and by the time you get to Kamloops and you're 8 to 10 hours in, you start feeling really exhausted. Mm-hmm. I take off my sunglasses at that point and I start waking up again.
Okay. You just let the sun like bombard your eyeballs.
Exactly. And then it brightens me up, and because again, the melatonin gets blocked off and away we go. Mm-hmm. Now the melatonin becomes important because of the way it affects so much of the other inflammatory cascade that sits inside our bodies. And again, the whole point of this conversation of wellness is increase serotonin, decrease cortisol. If you don't get the proper amounts of sleep, or you're getting too much cortisol, your sleep doesn't. Cortisol is a wake up and get fucking going kind of hormone. That's what it is. That's what it does. So if you have high levels of cortisol when you're going to sleep, do you think you're going to sleep when you have let's wake up and let's do this hormones going through your body? It's like, good luck trying to fall asleep right after you've had a crazy adrenaline response. Same kind of thing too. Right. You're like, no, you're up, you're primed, you're ready to roll.
Ready to go and compete and take over the world.
Exactly. Dance your heart out and make everybody look silly because you're so amazing.
That's not the point. But thank you for believing it that way. But it's interesting. So people who are doing stuff like me, who are, well, let's say in 5 years ago when I was just dancing and whatnot, then we're totally messing up our system, because we're getting like a super adrenaline kick by being on the competitive floor that late at night. And then you have this like down. This is what I find after competitions or a big rush, that we have this like up and it lasts about 30 minutes. And then it's like, I can't even keep my eyes open. But I'm guessing that's not helping our sleep levels either, especially like even if we're doing a project where we're kicking ourselves up to that, and then we have that fall and we can fall asleep, but we've pushed ourselves to the point that it's almost detrimental, I would imagine.
I think the body can adapt to almost anything when you make it your rhythm. So when you were out on the dance circuit and that was what you're doing day in and day out, your body's like, okay, I've performed. Now I'm going to go to sleep. And it would do so really, really quickly. And so I don't think that was necessarily the problem. It's when you go from, I got to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning today to work on my business, to 3 days from now, I'm like, now I got to be primed to go for my midnight dance competition. And you try going back and forth between those two things all the time. That's when the body gets confused. And that's where we start running into challenges. So for me, the more precise example is, let's say let's say it's a month ago, and I'm getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning so I can work out before I go to see my patients.
Mm-hmm.
But then I decide I want to push it really hard to get a project done. I'm up until 2 o'clock in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
knowing that for me, I get my peak creativity between midnight and 3 a.m.
Yeah. Why is that?
I think it's because it's disinhibited, because you're too tired to be able to oppose yourself and try to like be too smart.
That's fair. Not good for rhythms, but
No.
totally fair.
So I think it really comes down to pick what it is you want to accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
Are you setting yourself up for that late night like push, or are you trying to get the early morning push? I don't think it's reasonable on our bodies to do both.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you want to start taking a midday nap.
Yeah, I'm usually too amped.
You amped energy, no.
Yeah, all the time, except in the morning. Yeah, it's been amazing when I've had people stay over or whatever, and they're like, "Oh my God, Angela, how many times are you going to hit the snooze button? Like, could you just stop? Because it is that, like, the war siren is going off, and I could just go right back to sleep right after."
So I think the starting question for you is, do you really want to get up early or not?
When I go to bed, I totally do. And then in the morning, I'm like, oh, it's so lovely in here. Even this morning, I was like, I'm so proud of myself. I'm awake at 6:30. And then I'm like, I'm just going to hit 2 more minutes until 7:30. So I like 2 more minuted myself 30 times. How ridiculous is that?
Ouch.
Yeah. And I didn't feel any more refreshed for it. Like it's usually when I'm traveling that I have to be up actually quite early because there's so many meetings I have to get in while I'm in a town. And so if I have like a 6 a.m. meeting, I can totally be up and ready to go. And I have my best days when I actually have to get up that early. That's the annoying part.
So maybe force yourself out of bed with a cup of coffee and go sit on the couch and just relax for half an hour and be lazy that way.
And I will totally fall asleep on the couch. Yeah. I need a workout buddy. That's what I need.
Uh-oh. Watch out, Sai. Poor Sai's going to be on the treadmill. Like,
yeah.
What's going on? Why isn't my ball going anywhere?
Yeah. Yeah, it's so interesting. And I'm sure a lot of people out there now that they're not in as regular routines too are having problems with their sleep cycles, because it's not like you have to be up and pretty by 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. for meetings at work. Now you're at home and everyone's wearing their pajamas and putting their hair in a bun. So
if I had hair to put in a bun, I probably would.
We should work on that. We'll get you a man bun.
I don't think I have enough hair anymore to be able to make a man bun work.
You could pretty much make any hair work for a man bun. It just might not look as attractive as you would like it to look.
I don't know. I made fun of man buns for too much for the last probably 15 years. I don't know if I could do it now.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. One of my dancers, he started growing his hair out, and for one of our things, all the girls had their hair in a bun. So I'm like, can we just try and see what it looks like with your hair in a man bun? And it was like, of all the people that I've ever seen with a man bun, he could totally pull it off so beautifully.
Really?
Yeah, it was quite impeccable.
So what you're saying is, if we want to pull off a man bun, men have to become dancers. Is that kind of the take-home message?
With your tattoos and the beard and stuff, you can.
I don't know, tattoos and a man bun.
There is something this is totally off topic, but men in hair.
Okay.
I was watching this show, and like there's one guy who has a man bun, but it's all shaved underneath. And it's I was just thinking, like, guys when they're young honestly should like have nice long hair, like enjoy the luxuriousness of it, because eventually for the majority of people it's going to go away. And I'm sure as it disappears, there's the notion of like, oh my gosh, I should have done something with it while I could.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
it's true. It's there.
Are you 40 yet?
Almost, not quite.
Okay.
I'll be 40 very soon, though.
When is your birthday?
In about 3 months.
Okay.
2 months? 3 months? 3 months.
Oh, I'm older than you.
2 months.
2 months. I'm 5 weeks from now. So that'll turn 40.
5 weeks. So that puts you at mid-May then.
Yep. Right dab in the middle.
You're about 3 weeks older than I am.
That's not fair.
That 3 weeks will become the most important 3 weeks of every time you make fun of my computer freezing or whatever the new thing is you're going to make fun of me for.
Yeah.
I'll just remind you that you're 3 weeks older than me.
Yes. And then I'll do a backflip and I'll feel better about myself. So it'll be fine.
So you're so old. That's why you need this extra sleep and you're so tired in the morning.
That's true. Yeah. I haven't actually found it's changed as I get older. It's that shift was like from dentistry to dance was when everything shifted. So it's fascinating.
Have you found with a lot of like, I've been finding that since I've been home, I need more sleep. Like I'll get 8 hours of sleep and I'll wake up and I'll still be exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
And I've talked with a bunch of other people and I seem to be hearing that's a common thing. Are you hearing that a lot as well too?
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people are just they're not in their regular routine. So they aren't sleeping the way they normally would. Yeah. For me, honestly, I feel like my routine's been still pretty much the same of go, go, go. So I just never want to get up in the morning.
Maybe that's your routine.
That's my routine. Yeah. But I'm sure, like, I think whether people realize it or not, like even the stress of everything that's weighing on us is weighing on us more than sometimes I think we're acknowledging.
Right.
And that could be making us want to avoid the world a little bit. And I think there is probably a little bit of depression starting to creep in for a few people, whether we like it or not. So.
Yeah, I'm seeing that too. I think a lot of people are starting to feel that a bit right now.
Yeah.
I think sometimes having these conversations of knowing there's other people who like, hey, did you get out of bed and go for a walk this morning?
Mm-hmm.
That level of accountability can be helpful. I can't remember where I heard this and I really liked it. It's one of those little motivational things is that motivation can be borrowed.
Mm-hmm.
And I really think it is true because when someone else you have a level of accountability to someone else, either doing it with them or knowing that they're going to like totally razz you if you didn't do it. It can be that extra piece that says, okay, I'm going to get out there and I'm going to do it. Mm-hmm. I find trying to do everything solo gets to be way more challenging in this world.
Absolutely.
And I think there's something to be said about that. And it's an important part of knowing who we are as people is that if we think we're going to try to do everything all by ourselves, yeah, good luck with that. Mm-hmm. I think, yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah. I feel like I used to be really good at doing things by myself, but by myself.
You will never be alone again. All those peoples inside of Angela.
All those peoples, yes. Me and my friends inside of me. Yeah, I find as I get older, the motivation thing, like having group accountability is very helpful. So if we need a get up in the morning accountability, maybe you need to call me at 6:30 in the morning as you're going and just keep ringing me until I'm like, okay, fine, I'm up and going for a walk.
Either that or we need like a little group, Facebook group of whoever wants to be up so we can all check in like on a Zoom call or something first thing in the morning.
Yeah. Or even just having to get up and like write on the computer, I'm up and out. That might be helpful.
Only when you're outside.
Yes.
Because if it's you, you'll get up, you'll write it, and then you'll go back into bed.
Yep, it's very true. And I totally sleep with my electronics too, so that's not so helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, I just find that sleep hygiene with this crazy time that we're in right now and everything being so out of sync, building some of those things around us that supports that we get a good night's sleep. Mm-hmm. But then the second thing, and it says one thing, that's just the actual behavior. The second thing is find your meaning. What is your reason for getting up in the morning? How do you want to build out your day? What's going to be important to you? We've got probably a couple more months of this, mm-hmm. I would think, before we go back to work. As much as I'd like to think it's going to be tomorrow, mm-hmm. and the optimist in me says it's going to be, 3 or 4 weeks from now. There's a realist in me too that says, be ready for all options, that this could be the way it is until July.
Yeah, it's funny because the other day or yesterday I was talking to my friend. I'm like, this could be done next week. And I'm like, Angela, what are you talking about? Like, this is not going to be done next week. And I've been the one when people have asked me, I've been trying to give more realistic timelines, but my brain has been suddenly doing these weird things where it's like, oh, I should go shopping. And I'm like, you're not allowed to do that, Angela. And all these funny things that I usually don't think about in my regular day, but suddenly I'm like, oh, this is what I should be doing. And yeah, it's funny how our brains are playing tricks on us a little bit. I
think to bring maybe our tired ass Tuesday and connect back with Mindful Monday.
Yeah.
I think what's happening for a lot of people is that this thought of, oh, I'm going to go shopping. I'm going to do all of these things that I used to always do. Mm-hmm. There's a part of us that's trying to bring us back onto the rhythms that we used to be on, the purpose and the meaning we used to have in our days. Because right now it's starting to feel a little bit empty unless we begin to give it a new meaning.
Mhm.
And I think that's the starting point for all of us is, what's the meaning you want to give to your day today? What's the meaning you want to give to your day tomorrow?
Mhm.
And then pick a good one. Because if we become intentional about picking the things that matter to us, we're going to find what we need to be able to accomplish it that next day.
So that still goes along with our theme of structure from yesterday as well.
It's true. They all weave together.
Yeah. So let's leave them with a note on that. So
I think so.
I think Mindful Mondays the theme was create some structure in your world. So let's tie that in with sleep. Let's get some structure in our sleep and everyone get out of bed at 6:30 for a walk. Does that work?
Are you going to get out of bed for 6:30 for a walk tomorrow morning?
Yes.
Oh, you hesitated. You were the, oh crap, I'm on camera. I have no choice but to say yes. I really don't want to.
It's actually been programmed in my calendar every day to be up at 6:30 and be working on my business at 7 a.m. And I've been waking up at 6:30 and congratulating myself for being up, but I will actually get up and out of bed. And I will text you at 6:30 and tell you that I'm there.
Do you enjoy walking first thing in the morning?
No, I enjoy sleeping.
Oh.
But walking is going to be better for me than like trying to go for a run or whatever. So I'll work up that way.
Yeah, because run is hard.
Mm-hmm.
Walking is not so hard.
Yeah.
Something else I've been doing this morning is that when I walk, because I don't know about how you walk, but my mind kind of goes, become intentional about what I'm thinking about and just finding things to be grateful for when I'm out of bed.
Mm. Yeah, I tend to listen to audiobooks, so I've got to get through Dare to Lead with Brene Brown. So
we'll have to talk about that book on another call because we're getting kind of towards the end of this one.
Yeah, we are. But
okay,
we'll move on to that. So enjoy the rest of your day, my friend.
I will. You
and
too.
Everyone else out there, and we will see you all tomorrow.
Cheers.
Bye.